Go
Hello,
ahead.
my name is Phil Hopkins, and I have the pleasure today of interviewing Mr. Hermann Rosen and find out some of his views of our pipeline industry and his visions for the future. Hermann holds a degree in electronics and control technique. Immediately after finishing his studies, he started an engineering consultancy firm for electric design and home automation in his hometown of Lingen in Germany. In 1981, he founded Rosen Engineering in Germany. Today it's known as Rosen Group. We're all familiar with that. They started to produce instrumented tools to ensure the integrity of oil and gas pipelines, and now the company is a technology and market leader for inline inspection tools for pipelines. Welcome, Hermann, to the interview.
Thanks for the invitation to this interview. For me, it's the first time to experience such an honor. I'm a technician and not a politician, so.
Well, you're going to have to be both today, Hermann.
Yeah,
Before I ask you
sure.
Before I ask you some business and technology questions, can you tell us what you are personally doing in the industry today?
Yeah, I'm actually already an old man, or at least at an age where it is not normal to be still involved in running of a business. Rosen is a private company, and also I'm less involved in the daily operational issues. I can still and do enjoy to contribute towards the long-term strategy of the company. I call it the company direction or strategic direction, at least with a plus 10-year outlook. Serving our industry and finding long-term and effective solutions for the challenges, it in course motivates me even today more than in the early days. And regarding the operational side of the business, I trust my management and the wide expertise they have and provide.
I know you travel. You still travel a lot, Hermann. When was the first time you visited Brazil? Can you remember what the reason was?
Yeah, I'm not so sure, but I guess it was around the early 1990s when I made the first visit to our agent Firmino Santos and Mauro Barreto of IEC, and to visit a customer presenting our capabilities to them, together with the IEC. We got our first contract in Brazil, I guess it was 1990. No, I'm sure it was 1995. Inspection of a 6-inch for PQU, now Braskem, and 24-inch line for Petrobras.
So a 25-year association with the country. That's a long association. You've also got a long association with the Rio Conference. The conference is slightly unusual in that it does cover deep water oil and gas developments. It's strongly biased to offshore subsea markets. So why is this particular conference so important to Rosen?
Phil, it's a good question. Conferences are an ideal forum for exchanging ideas and also presenting new developments or sharing experience. It's a common. But with the Rio conference, it's really two things. An international event in and for South America in general and Brazil in particular. In addition, most of the other pipeline-related events have a strong focus on onshore pipelines. The Rio Pipeline Conference has placed emphasis on offshore and subsea structures mainly. The engineer in me is quite excited about all the technical issues regarding the harsh offshore environment. As you know, we are dealing very much with harsh environments.
Let's stay on the subject of Brazil. Can you tell us what Rosen's currently doing in Brazil?
And we do have our own facility in Rio with around 100 specialists to inspect pipelines. And totally in South America, it's about 200 or 250 somewhere. We have expanded our portfolio in Brazil from the traditional MFL technology towards the state-of-the-art UT crack and EMAT crack technologies. And beside our traditional oil and gas customer base, we perform nowadays also as well a challenging inspection for the mining industry. Another important development that we have undertaken in Brazil in close cooperation with Petrobras was the development of an inline inspection solution for an, call it ultra deep water pipeline system. An extreme harsh environment, as you understand, for which an innovative solution had to be found. And we found it. These are typically the challenges Rosen seeks, besides the standard work that we perform. And in addition to the above diagnostic solution, we also offer a wide range of integrity services nowadays. Most of the required processes to serve the local pipeline industry are established in Brazil for this purpose already.
I know that one of your passions, one of your personal passions, is to widen your products and services. Anything new or about to happen? Anything around the corner waiting for us?
Yeah, we see reasonable business opportunities in the market due to the extended pipeline integrity needs, especially in the next future. Let me just state that understanding the true mechanical integrity and therefore safety of a pipeline or pipeline system requires an holistic approach. Many parameters play a decisive role, and only understanding these and their interaction will allow us to effectively manage pipeline threats. This approach will reflect in future products and services we will offer.
I recently read that in the past decade, Brazil passed from net importer of crude oil to being China's biggest overseas crude oil supplier, and that surprised me. And also the entire gas pipeline system in Brazil is being passed on to private investors, and that's going to happen. How important is this expanding and changing market to service providers such as your company, Rosen?
It's a good question. But we see and monitor the privatization of Brazilian refineries, pipelines, and terminals. And the mindset of private investors or foreign operators, as well in relation to integrity management, may certainly be different to the mindset of the traditional, more monopolistic operators in Brazil or somewhere else. New stakeholders mean for us also new opportunities, in general for a company like Rosen. We have seen now certainly a pull from new customers like NTS, and we welcome future interaction with the new stakeholder in the Brazilian market, with the ultimate goal to ensure safe operation of their assets.
Let me change the subject a little bit and let me talk about Rosen. And let me take you back many years to 1981 in your little garage and doing your research when you started to grow your company. I'd like to ask you, how did you turn? I think it was a 10-person company when you started. I think it was a 10-person company back in 91 to this huge multinational company in 2021. So I guess, can you share your secrets of success over 40 years, and can you help us all be more successful?
Yeah, I will do. But first of all, I can't remember that we were 10. I guess we were even less. But straightforward answer: curiosity, challenges, technology, and the drive for innovations. That's simple.
That will make me successful. Okay, I'll make a note of that. That will make me successful.
Okay.
I'm sure it's more complicated than that, Rosen, but Mr. Rosen. But anyway, Rosen's now expanding services.
Yeah, at the end, these are the main points.
Yes, yeah. You're now expanding your services way beyond inspection and pipeline services. Can you give us an idea of how your company is changing, or how it will change?
Yes, so it's more than just a switch from a single service, say pipeline inspection, to they call it a comprehensive asset integrity management solution. But this is a long process to build up the required expertise, as you may understand, or as you will understand, not may, sorry. This includes the data gathering, the data analytics, and ultimately the information processing to create an added value or benefit out of the provision of the information. This extends to providing integrity solution based on the processed information.
Well, if you look at your overall company, what are you most proud of regarding your company? What's your top pride in your company?
Difficult to answer, but yeah, that I could motivate our staff to join my sometimes unique and call it unconventional long version company direction, and going the challenging going along with that. Identifying true future business needs and really striving to provide effective long-term solution without being misguided by short-term perspectives. And I guess the last one, being misguided by short-term perspectives, I guess it was sometimes a little bit difficult.
Well, that I guess brings in the topic of leadership. So let's now change the subject a little bit and talk about your leadership, Rosen leadership. You provide leadership in your company. How would you describe good leadership, and how can we develop good leadership?
That has a lot to do with the stage of the company. So that means depends on the company development stage. In the inline inspection business, we established meanwhile a solid and I would call it a balanced organization. Therefore, now we can change from a more, I call it the visionary leadership, where I give a lot of freedom to the individual managers, from a visionary leadership style towards more a performance-driven management approach, towards the direction of this typical servant leadership approach.
With leadership comes values. So what are your own values, and what values do you expect to be embedded in your own company?
Also, again, very straightforward, being trustful, open-minded, and performance-driven.
Okay. If we've got the right leaders with the right values, how do you identify the stars in your company, the rising stars in your company?
I do not like the word stars in the organization at all. I like us to work in teams with competent people, for sure, that complement and inspire each other. Our business challenges are so wide and complex that for single persons, it becomes almost impossible to fulfill the complete range of expectations the business has on us.
again, just changing the subject slightly. Oil and gas companies have long taken environmental, social, and governance issues very seriously, and it's in the news every day now. It's becoming even more higher profile today. How do you see this ESG change in the future? And also, how does Rosen embrace ESG?
We are not an oil and gas company. We support the oil and gas industry, as other industries as well, with best fit integrity solutions to improve on their ESG issues. Regarding our own company, all aspects of ESG are taken very seriously and are embedded in our process, in all of our processes and procedures.
Okay, let me again change the subject slightly, and let's talk about pipelines. The landscape of the oil and gas industry will change over the next 10 years. I think it changes every 10 years, but it'll certainly change a lot over the next 10 years. We read a lot about climate change pressure and the government, every government's commitment to hydrogen, carbon capture, carbon-free economy. Do you think the oil and gas pipeline industry will still be here with us in, say, 20 years?
A transition to low carbon will lead to a fundamental shift in the global energy system without any doubt. That is a transition that is needed. It is essential for our future generations, without any doubt. But however, how fast this transition goes depends on many factors and stakeholders. So how the time frame will look like, probably later than now expected.
Okay, but we're also seeing a lot of opposition to building new pipelines. We've seen opposition to new pipelines like Nord Stream and Keystone. How do you see the pipeline industry developing in the future with all these pressures on it?
From my point of view, it's purely political. It's a pure political battlefield. So, as I said in the beginning, I'm not a politician. Therefore, difficult for me to answer. But generally, it's always wise to be careful with political-driven decisions. That's what I learned. What I can see is that certain energy transition will move towards electrical cable systems, and that part of the existing gas pipeline system we will convert it for hydrogen transportation also. From a diagnostic and integrity perspective, we are hydrogen ready and are supporting many operators with the conversion of their pipelines already.
Okay, let's talk about change. And this is where the technician can come out and you can say goodbye to the politician and hello to the technician. Yeah. We've seen big changes over the past 40 years. And like you, I've been around for 40 years, so we've both seen big changes. And I think they're fantastic. We've seen good changes, such as technological changes, like yours and others, inline inspection tools. But we've seen also a very variable and volatile oil and gas price. And we're also seeing big pipeline companies reducing staffing and research, particularly research. I know research is a passion for you as well. What's your view of both the good and bad changes in recent years?
On the good side, we are facing a situation with aging engineering structures like pipelines, others as well. Many of them are at the end of their life cycle, and therefore a need is there for advanced technologies and smart procedures to extend their lifetime whilst ensuring safe and efficient operations. That has currently lots of our attention. Furthermore, a lot of effort is being spent to reduce the CO2 emission. But I do wonder if politicians or politics is focusing on the right areas. On the bad side, probably too strong of a hype. Politically driven against oil and gas based but also inducing public awareness. It's for me, it's a gray area, and too much short-term thinking and short-term fixes rather than having a more comprehensive view at things and then trying to identify long-term and sustainable answers.
Let's stay on that topic of change. Well, I know your staff and company are working on big data. How will big data affect both your company and the industry?
From my point of view, big data is somehow a hype. But consolidating data or information, turning it into meaningful information to benefit asset integrity is essential. Using as well predictive analytics and artificial intelligence for better decision making in relation to critical assets is happening already and will become more important.
Okay, let's keep on the topic of change and let's focus on your company's main products, which are currently the inline inspection vehicles. What big changes do you think we'll see in the inline inspection industry over the next few years?
I don't know if you can call it big changes, but the probability of detection and identification, call it POD or POI, of pipeline features, mainly metal loss, cracks or dents, will increase due to further huge investments in R&D on the inspection side, but even more on the analytics side. I was talking already about artificial intelligence. In addition, we will also see inline inspection solution for other parameters and potential threats, such as material verification and loading or load conditions.
Let me be very, very topical now, and we've been through the trauma that was COVID-19 over the past almost 2 years. What lessons have we learned from the pandemic, and how do you feel it will change how we work?
Yeah, there's so much to say about this, and we will need more time. But in short, we have first learned that we all can be caught by surprise by events like this pandemic, even on a global scale. It is or should be an eye-opener for the world. And we shall realize that we can only master such crises globally by collaboration and fair principles. As a company, we were able to respond fast, putting the health of the people first as our key assets. And by doing so, we were able to manage our global business and serve our customers where needed.
Do you think that one of the changes we may see is, working from home, limited international travel? Will that become the norm? Can companies like yours be successful with a remote workforce and communications based on this, video conferencing?
All of us had to learn to manage via video conferences. This works fine when most of the participants know each other already. However, with unknown people, it's a little bit more different issue. I expect that after entering now slowly into the, say, next or new normal, we will spend maybe 20% less in planes, airports, and hotels. In the beginning, I thought 30%, but I reduced it meanwhile to 20%. With respect to home office, we started already some years ago to build up certain experience. From my point of view, besides the fact that home office has to be functionally feasible, many other aspects need to be taken into account as well. At the end, it should be a fair balance between the interest of the individual person and the company.
Okay, let's start to draw the interview to a close. Although we're going to close the interview, I'm going to ask you a very big question. What is your vision for the future for, first, the pipeline industry, and second, your company?
I'm sure that not too many new pipelines transcend oil or gas will be constructed in the near future, in the future in general. However, the existing ones will have to provide the capacity needed for a long period, for a long time. Phil, as you know, there are a variety of threats that can impact on the integrity of a pipeline and ability to serve its function. There will be a need for effective solutions to extend the lifetime of pipelines and to ensure their safety, as I said in the beginning. Public pressure regarding critical infrastructures will also increase, in my opinion, and must be met by showing and providing that pipelines are the safest means to transport large quantities of liquids or gas, which they actually are. Safer than any other means if we look into the statistics. And therefore, pipelines will remain for a long while. For our country, it's a good I see it as a good outlook, not only the pipeline and the engineering structures as general. But I feel for the total industry as well, the outlook is good for decades to come. And the oil and gas, it's not over in the next couple of decades. So that means energy demand will remain, and even oil and gas, and conversion to hydrogen will demand pipelines to transport and storage as well. And even the demand is from the integrity point of view is even much higher. And the push towards zero incidents in our industry will open new opportunities as well.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of opportunity. Quite an exciting time,
ones, yeah.
An exciting future. Yeah, exciting. And finally, I'm going to steal some of your wisdom now. What advice have you for staff just starting in the industry? Tell them enjoy their career as you have and progress as you have.
Yeah, at least I could repeat when I started. Being curious, search for challenges, but today team up with performance-driven colleagues with the right skills. That's simple.
Very wise words, Hermann. Thank you. Well, Hermann, can I thank you for this interview, for the Rio conference? It's been a delight. And on behalf of the conference organising committee, I thank you for all your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil, for the interview. It was a pleasure, and I hope I could provide you with some thoughts. Thank you.
You have.